I don't know if you have the same feeling as I do, but I feel like every couple of months, we get a new announcement from a robotics company, and I swear, they all look the same. Take a look at this awesome, innovative, game-changing domestic robot that's going to automate your chores, your laundry, your dishes, and they're all nothing burgers. Literally all of them. Nobody has a domestic robot at home except those stupid cleaning robots that never work. But why is that? Why do we have self-driving cars but completing chores is too complicated? First of all, take a look at the most recent domestic robot announcement.
So meet Neo, potentially the most futuristic product we've ever seen. A full-fledged humanoid robot. It's for doing chores. It has the same dexterity as a human because it's shaped just like a human, walks around on 2 legs, has 10 fingers.
Nice humanoid robot that can put your laundry in the washing machine.
Or it can do the dishes for you from start to finish
dishes,
and then put everything away. It can go around and water the plants outside or inside on a perfect schedule, and it never forgets a single plant. And then it'll go around and vacuum and tidy up the house if anything gets left out. It always knows where everything is. It can find the TV remote, and when it's done, it goes back to its little docking spot
and charges itself.
Every single time, every day, you never have to do chores again.
This seems like the perfect option for automating household chores.
Available to order now? This is available to order? This feels like it could be the best tech announcement of all.
Wait, I gotta see this. Neo robot, order now. So this thing is $20,000. It might seem like a lot, but I think it's actually okay, like for something like this. And deliveries start in 2026. So the thing is that it's just a pre-order actually.
So you gotta imagine the target audience is going to be people whose time is worth more than the money they're spending on it.
And then little by little, it gets available for almost anyone. But that's how any technology works. This seems great. A domestic robot that can finally change our lives. Okay, I'm super excited. I want to buy it right now.
Except this isn't real.
Fuck, damn it! It's just not real? Like, what the fuck? As I've said, things are a little bit more complicated than that. As usual, there's a catch.
My issue with this product, the gap between what it's actually capable of today and what they're promising. The things that they showed her were remotely controlled by a human in another room wearing a VR headset, the carrying things around, the loading up the dishwasher. Look at this thing.
Okay, this is actually kind of ridiculous. It takes like 20 seconds to close the dishwasher. So it has to be pretty complicated to remotely control this thing. Okay, but that's kind of weird because we already have incredible robots on the market. Self-driving cars. Because fundamentally, a self-driving car is just a robot on wheels. Okay, let's dive a bit deeper into that example to understand the differences better.
Now, in the self-driving car world, Tesla's definitely a leader here, and they've had a pretty clever approach to trying to work on this problem. Because their problem is their robots on wheels need to learn all of these possible variations and ways to navigate situations that could happen on the road.
The thing with cars is that the road is kind of always the same. Like the signs are always the same, the lines on the road. Like of course you'll have quite a lot of variations from time to time, but you're almost always seeing the same thing. Whereas for a house, like houses can take many different sizes and shapes. Different rooms will be at very different spots from house to house. A domestic robot has to adapt itself a lot more to its environment than an autonomous car.
With their millions of cars already on the road, all of this data can go back into the system to help all these cars learn and get better. And now at this point, this is like their primary advantage, is they have millions and millions of miles of training data.
So if you want to train an autonomous car, it's a lot easier than if you want to train a domestic robot. Because we don't have a lot of data of robots being in houses. And that's the key issue with domestic robots. So to tackle this issue, the company has a pretty interesting solution.
If you scroll down on their website, you can see there's expert mode, which is when you have something the robot can't yet do and you schedule one of their teleoperating employees.
Okay, so if you order the Neo robot, you'll literally have someone remote controlling it and doing the job, and that will serve as training data.
And do the task so that the robot can learn from it.
The thing with domestic robots is that we're still at the start of it. We're lacking the training data, which is not the case for autonomous cars. So that might be the reason why domestic robots are so bad. They're just too recent. But that's kind of a boring answer. But now the question is, Why is it so complicated? Like, okay, in a house you can have many different variables, but this is nothing like driving a car where the road can be a dangerous environment. There can potentially be many other cars around you that you have to take into account. Whereas doing chores in a house, you always have to do the same movements and tasks. So why the hell is it so complicated? Why don't we have better robots yet?
I mean, okay, wait, we do have some robots in our home.
Yeah, we actually already have domestic robots, which kind of never work. They'll always be banging into a wall, something stupid, you know? Okay, but these are not the real robots we're talking about here. What everybody's thinking about is probably something that looks a bit more like that. We are presented robots like this. But what we're actually getting is this.
There's something that explains this that we call Moravec's paradox. And that is what's
Moravec's
easy
paradox.
for robots, like being able to pick up a large heavy object, is hard for humans.
For installing brain chips into the brain, for example, you have to put very thin electrodes into the brain to like be able to connect with certain neurons, and you need a robot for this. Indeed, the accuracy required is pretty insane. But that's only the first part of Moravec's paradox. The second part says that what's easy for humans is hard for robots. Like, you might know about the little baby toys where you have to put a shape into a hole. So this is very easy. I mean, babies learn to do this very early on, but it's actually pretty complicated to do for a robot. Things as simple as recognizing shapes and picking up objects is actually very complex to do for a robot. But there are a few solutions to fix this.
This is a robot hand, a particular type of hand. It's a lot like our hand, and it has a lot of motors, a lot of tendons and cables, as you can see. So it's unfortunately not very reliable.
Yeah, hands are very hard to do for robots.
So I'm in favor of very simple hands, like this.
You could have a claw
So
instead,
this
that's
has
true.
just 2 fingers. And if you're doubting that simple hands can be effective, look at this video where you can see that 2 very simple grippers are capable of doing very complex things. Actually, in industry, there's even a simpler robot gripper, and that's the suction cup. And that only makes a single point of contact.
Okay, that makes picking up objects a bit easier, but it doesn't solve the fundamental issue that hinders robots from being able to behave like humans.
This is where it gets really, really difficult because of a fundamental issue, which is uncertainty. If you look at a robot's gripper trying to do something, there's a lot of uncertainty in the cables and the mechanisms that cause very small errors, and these can accumulate and make it very difficult to manipulate things.
And the thing is that robots are pretty bad at managing uncertainty. The slightest change in the inputs can give widely different results.
We take a bottle on a table and we just push it, and the robot's pushing it in exactly the same way each time. But you can see that the bottle ends up in a very different place each time.
Even if the robot senses the same thing every time, there could actually be different results.
So it's a challenge, and people have tried to put robots into warehouses to do this work.
No. But again, the technology is improving.
This is a system called DexNet that is able to reliably pick up objects that we put into these bins in front of the robot. These are objects it's never been trained on, and it's able to pick these objects up and reliably clear these bins over and over again.
But like, that's the thing, we have a bunch of prototypes that can do these things, sorting like we saw. But now the problem is, can you have this at a large scale if you want to have this in everybody's house? So we've seen all the technical problems that robots face, but there's actually quite a lot more.
There's some major hurdles that need to be overcome so that we don't find ourselves in some sci-fi dystopia. We'll start with the biggest challenge and what should always come first.
Safety is one of these problems.
It's common for companies to just have the bots do that work in a separate area, fenced off from their human coworkers. But performing tasks safely around living people is a different engineering challenge. Step 1, before a robot can leave its zone, it needs to be able to know how to recognize and steer clear of its fleshy coworkers.
If you want to have a robot that's actually doing things in your house, it has to be able to tell if something that it's seeing is a human.
They're made of hard plastic and metal bodies. This is fine for a warehouse environment, but it could seriously hurt somebody in the event of a collision. And good luck to you if you get a finger caught in one of those robot joints.
And that's the reason why the Neo robot that we've seen, and some others as well, actually have clothing on them. This is in case a human makes a mistake and puts their finger where it shouldn't be. But robots can do weird stuff as well. If the robot grabs a knife, for example, like that could be a dangerous thing. You don't want it to like drop it on someone's foot or something, so it has to be very reliable.
But a fresh robot fit isn't going to help with two other major challenges facing the industry: privacy and trust. The Neo humanoid home helper is a prime example. For most tasks, Neo will have to be teleoperated by what 1X calls a quote expert. The promise is that the robot would someday learn from its remote control pilots.
And that's the other problem. You need to be able to keep good privacy because the robot is going to be filming everything. Like that's how it's going to see things. That's how it's going to learn things. So you have to be careful that this footage is not like leaked somewhere. So you might not really be convinced, but technically you can pre-order one of these. It's gonna get shipped in 2026 in the US, so you can buy one if you want to like help the technology grow, but it's not actually gonna be useful for now. Let me know down in the comments if you'd like to have one of these. Personally, I don't think so, but yeah.